I'll bring to order the special board of aldermen meeting for Monday, March 8, 2020 at 6:15 and 6:17. Roll call, please.
Alderman Stevens?
Here.
Alderman Hudson?
Here.
Alderman Motley?
Here.
Alderman Wilkins?
Present.
Alderman Rogers?
Present.
And Alderman Magley?
Yeah.
Everybody join me in the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I need discussion about it or?
Mom and Dad aren't here tonight?
He is here today. He doesn't have to be sworn in, because he's been sworn in, it's just important that he is here to.
Is there any vote on that one or not?
Yes, you'll appoint him and
Good. All righty, that moves us to appointments, number 3, and it would be for the appointment of a full-time police officer who would be Brian Hancock. I believe he's here with us. So he is a part-time officer, correct? That is filling a full-time position that has become vacant. And who left, if I could ask?
Officer Tarwater left, and starts on the county tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, that's what everybody know. I know it's Tarwater, but for those that didn't know, on the council potentially, that they didn't know. So I would look for a motion. I would like to appoint Brian Hancock as a full-time police officer. And
I make a motion we approve the mayor's appointment of Brian Hancock to a full-time police officer.
Second.
I have a second from
We're going to have to get a little.
Ms.
Fingers.
Stevens. Yeah, it's like the beginning, all right? So we got a second from her. And so all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Welcome, Mr. Hancock, to the police force full-time.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Now that moves us down to the action agenda, approving task order number CEN 21-TO-W01, Department of West to complete a risk resilience assessment and emergency response plan is required by America's Water Infrastructure Act, AWIA of 2018 for $10,000. I would entertain a motion for that. Do we need to discuss that?
If you all like have any discussion, I did try to send the information ahead of time, so you had this. This is something we have to do once every 5 years, and I received a call from DNR on Friday, just to remind us that this was coming up, and the due date is June 31st. And they just wanted to let us know we have to get it completed, and I said that we were considering working with Bartlett and West on this, that they approved us because they help other cities with it as well, and they thought that was a good idea. So it is very difficult, very time-consuming task that we just did not have the city staff to handle ourselves. Yeah.
Move that we approve task order number CENT 21-PO-W01.
Second. Got a first and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. That moves us to adjournment. Would anybody like to? Have a second?
Second.
Got a first and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Okay.
We do not have our normal everybody here.
Jeff,
Nope.
you got called out.
And it's not supposed to start till 6:30, so we do have a little bit of a time to wait.
I think the water guys are still trying to get stuff back into the shop.
Denny may not be here. I don't know.
Yeah, they were backing in when I came in, so, but who knows?
I talked to him a little bit ago, and he said he may not be here. They've had a lot of calls and medical calls and fire calls and things like that. They were called to assist on a fire. I think it was a natural cover fire that was headed toward the structure south of town as well. So they were assisting north of town earlier and south of town this afternoon, and they've just been very busy. So Denny may not be here tonight, but his reports should be in the packet.
fill this in.
I've seen them in that, where they're doing a lot of work, coming down, moving stuff.
Want to talk to you for just a second?
Just a reminder, if you're here for the meeting today, if you have not signed in, will you
Okay,
please
this
do
is a
so?
sign. They need to know who was here, so they need you to. No.
So we're gonna hold our public utilities first.
Oh, shoot. It just went in and right back out.
Sorry.
No, Gail. Yeah, I know.
Mr. Cox, you open them all.
Well, I don't know. I'll think about it. If you have nothing else, I'll call you sometime. I know it's not your fault. I just. No, that's fine. I mean, we got plenty of time, but.
We've been to the doctor every day.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Well, we've been involved with helping Doug and his girlfriend get packed and getting ready to move to their new house. So we've been down there every weekend, and our phones. Yeah, now that they've had their second child, and their 2 weeks is up, they're not even thinking, oh, it's like, oh my Lord, this is crazy.
Your stuff is coming up.
Right, yes.
That's 5 minutes.
It's not a problem. When we adjourn, let's just all go over it.
He got, he got headway.
Mayor Probably.
Yeah.
Hey, congrats. Thanks.
And it says, do you intend to stay for questions?
I had a guy who went and has to shave
Yeah.
his face.
I wish I could remember what
We're corporately in St. Louis.
Me too.
And so we were hanging out at the reception.
Yeah, it is.
We still have.
I'm weird.
This is our. No,
Yeah, I saw your last names in the meeting, so they just decided to make it universal, it's not for one.
it's maintained right now.
Yeah, I have, so I have everything else.
I was so happy to take up together last Thursday and Friday. And they pulled somebody over who didn't stop at that stop sign. A second car, and within 3 minutes, 6 people did that same stop sign without stopping. And they didn't do a damn thing to them. And I told them that. I said, that's not right. So I have. I know you don't, but they ask me we do. Oh, no.
We gotta do something. The next we gotta make a decision on something.
Well, but for how many different vehicles? And so, we, not only is you, I think you gotta be careful. Because it's one or two individuals, but it's.
No, that's how it's
Make it certain days.
It's getting there. A little quicker than, probably supposed to be, but we're outside a couple of days here.
Yeah, no, I do. I did every damn time they pulled me over.
We have an ordinance
It's a
we have a burning.
Or on the weekend.
But emergency regulations, permitting and stuff, I'm working on a draft, but it's just taking a little longer than I realized.
I remember now what I was gonna say, so
When I get to print,
Hurry.
does it
Yeah.
spell out what you can burn and
Oh, yeah.
so forth very clearly, doesn't it?
It does.
And I mean, it just needs to be enforced, and I will, when
anything that I would have to check.
Usually it's so late. Usually like 12.
Yeah, Robert has to.
Some,
If I listen, what big difference does it make? It's no big deal. And it is. Right. You're not saying it's right. If we would just do something, check. Not that we're gonna.
We'll get started on the next meeting in a minute. If you haven't signed in, please do so.
Mr. Decker, how you got?
Moving the taxes for the summer.
Karen, she spent all
what is your neighbor today?
having no idea how many.
Where is it, what part at on
And
this?
now, conveniently,
Building
we can't
there.
find the
Say,
And it's an ongoing,
that is pretty big hole.
Do a call out.
and when I brought it up last year,
Up here,
then I said,
Harden.
yes, for all of those.
No, he never told me what
Making
happened. But
No,
So,
we can just announce it.
I don't care what you do, because when the 4th of March or whatever gets here, I'm done. Probably will never come back. You cannot believe the shit I have taken care of those people.
when I go to school, I water on my carpet in the back. You know, it's like,
Yeah. No, not
then you can't even pick cold.
I need to check all my kids first, make sure.
Right, there you go.
You're on it.
It really has.
It wasn't.
Like I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit back here right next to Don, I can do
Oh, I think
that.
this is.
Oh, we didn't care.
I know, well, my mask's in my pocket.
Well, I'm really kind of shocked. I'm just really thinking about taking it off.
You can.
If I'm in a room with the
You're like, have you been around?
Good evening.
That's right.
6:30, we're gonna call this regular scheduled public works.
On
and public
Thursday, we'll
utilities
have our
commission
meeting
to order.
after our second.
Attendance was taken at a previous meeting just a few minutes ago, that's not changed. We did take the pledge of allegiance already at the previous meeting also, so we're gonna go straight down to section 3, open forum. We're gonna start with speed limits. If anybody's got an opinion, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for us. So we'll open the public forum for speed limits.
I'll go first. Everybody knows me, I get up here every time and talk, and I'll be back up for the second meeting too, probably. Everybody knows Linda Borman, 800 Jason Court, and I just think that some of these speed limits were reduced way too much, and yeah, you all know how I feel about it, so anyway, I just got up so that somebody else would get up after me.
In Carlisle, 901 Lockport, I mean, we live off of Gano. Get sidewalks if you're worried about people walking or riding on their bikes. I mean, it's 25 is like ridiculous. There's hardly any property out there.
I'm Gail Dawes, 619 Pool. I agree, Gano is just, 25 on that is just way too low. There's not that much property, and especially like going out towards Cobblestone, there aren't people out there walking or riding bikes or anything. And coming in even, it's too slow.
Thank you.
Can I say something? I didn't come for this, but I will make a point on this. Chad Cox, 217 West Singleton. On the speed limit in my shop, people have talked about it. I don't care. I have a short commute to work every day. So, and I get out of town pretty easy and pretty quick, so. But one of the things that just in my mind that I kept thinking about was if people did not, you know, if they didn't pay attention to the speed limits before, you know, lowering them, come on. You know what I'm saying? If they're not gonna go 35, they're not gonna go 25. If they're going 45, you know what I mean, and it says 35, then they're not paying attention to the speed limit. That's like putting don't bring your gun inside, and the guy sees that and he's like, oh, never mind, I won't rob this place. It doesn't happen. I just enforce the speed limit.
But there are some of us who do pay attention to the speed limits.
No, but what I'm saying is the people that break the law consistently every day on Get No Chance for 2 decades, they're high schoolers late for school or work coming in town. They don't care whether you put 15, 25, 45, or 50. They're not looking at the sign. They don't care.
I agree with that.
Yep.
People that break the law, they don't pay attention to the law.
Hold on here.
It's a hot spot.
It's hot.
Hold on.
Harold Becker at 921 Lois Drive. I do think it's important to remember there's a lot of children out near the streets. There's a lot of people driving golf carts like myself, so they're driving, you know, that doesn't go above 20 miles an hour. So we need to be cognizant of that. I do think the No Chance is probably, it's a major thoroughfare going out of town. It's probably too slow to be put at 25 miles an hour. And I guess I would ask the question, why were they lowered? Have there been a lot of accidents, a lot of fatalities as the reason to lower them? So anyway, that's my thoughts.
Carol Rogers, 11259 Audrey Road, 906. So I actually have no dog in the fight technically because I don't vote for any of yet. But I am here specifically to speak about the speed limit from Jefferson going east on the No Chance. If you look at it, and I would reiterate what Mr. Decker said about why were they lowered in the first place. If you look at those homes along there, and especially in Cobblestone, there's a berm protecting the homes from the road. And even the homes that are on the west side, you know, closer into town, the homes are all at a much greater distance back from the road. So I don't see any way where the concern is with being 35 versus 25. And I don't know if you have a portion of this meeting where you answer those questions, but I'd like to know if you.
Is there anybody else for that? I'll respond to that in a moment, but I have a, I don't know, this thing walked up. That thing pinched my finger too, put it up. Thank you. We received an email response to the speed limit not being able to be here, and this is Robbie Robinson, who lives on No Chance Road, and I will say that you know, he said he was relieved to see that the city took a positive step forward protecting the residents along the busy street. He's also in favor of the consistent 25-mile-an-hour speed limit through town, except school and downtown areas. You know, he asked many of our citizens realize how much traffic No Chance Drive carries between Jefferson and Colt railroad tracks. This is where he lives, and you know, and it really concerns him that way in the homes along there. Also, there's a church across the street from me that offers child care for school children, in addition to many parents dropping off and picking up children. The school bus comes for them in the morning, drops them off in the afternoon. There are many more golf course and ATV type vehicles in town every year, and coming of spring weather, I expect to see more cruising on our streets. I think it's important to take out the speed of differential between a car and a truck, and somebody's on one of these smaller vehicles. And he just said he would like for us to convey his thoughts to the in the open forum, and that's what we've done today. That's Robbie Robinson that provided that for us. What I'll say about the speed limits is I think that in the roles that we set here and what we do and the job that we do, it's easy to get caught up in emotion and in emotional times and things. We had an accident that was very fortunate that someone was a fatality on Lakeview. I was down on Lakeview Street today, and I know that the city administrator lives there too, And in talking to a gentleman there, Dick Ward, I seen several cars go by while we were talking over the course of 10 or 15 minutes, and I didn't need a speed gun to know that they were probably going 35 to 40 miles an hour. So, you know, we have an accident down there, someone gets killed, but it probably wouldn't have mattered if you're in an altered state. But if someone's walking along, a pedestrian, and people are not going to keep their car on the right of way and be driving erratically and under the influence of something, that bad things are going to happen. I don't think the speed limit's going to make the difference on that. But so we had that incident that happened. We had some people talking about it, and I think it started out being some areas that needed review, probably more so than. And I think that we ended up just saying, you know, when we come into town, it says 25, we're not posted or otherwise posted or whatever it says, right? So I think we defaulted back to that as a group when we took it into consideration, because there was a need for some areas, I think, to be managed. The police department definitely looks at these areas and tries to keep up with those areas, but, you know, for a short period of time, then people speed back up. It may take some enforcement in some of these areas to make people stay at a reasonable speed. If we up the speed limits in some areas, would be my thought. But I think it's a combination of things that brought us to a point where we ended up with saying, let's go to the 25 because that's what's posted if it's not posted otherwise. And we kind of got on that a little bit as maybe the middle ground, a way to solve it and to take action, right? And maybe that action wasn't completely correct in all areas. So, you know, that's why we wanted to open this up and have this discussion. I've had lots of feedback, especially about that area of no chance. I've told Heather I can name you names and write names all day long of people that approached me, called me, emailed me about it. And most all of those folks are absolutely, and people, residents that live there. You know, I can name some names off Phil Turner, and I can go right on down the list. There's a bunch of people that have spoke about the fact that it's just too slow. So, and it's been out, you know, road both ways, okay? So I think that what happens is we get caught up in emotion and situations and different things, and we end up at a place that might not have been the exact answer for all things, right? So I think that's what we've got to take into consideration from the feedback that we've been given, and that's why we want to have the open forum. I think that we all wanted to get this right. Sometimes you don't get it exactly right, but I think stupidity is being too hard-headed to not adapt and change plans or things that you set in motion that could be better. And that's what we're going to try to do whenever time we have a situation where we make a decision and then we get backlash or feedback, whatever you want to call it, then we relook at what we've done and see if there's a more happy medium, if that makes sense, right? So I don't know if that answers your question about why we ended up where we're at, and I would welcome any of the other council members to speak on it. But I think that we're in the business of people, and people are emotional people in many ways, and it's hard not to see two people sit out here crying and upset, and because people are driving off with gas at the pump. And their business takes their paycheck from them when they work very hard and put up with a lot of personalities in the day's time, a job I could not do. And so we react and we say we ended up with pay at the pump or prepay, right? Well, that's emotion that got caught up with us. And I think we're starting to look at checking that. I was one of those as well. So I was on that bandwagon. So I drive everywhere and it's nothing for me. Once I drive out of Centralia, you pay at the pump or you prepay. They don't know you, they don't trust you, you know, for most part where I travel, you know, all over. So for me, in my world, it wasn't a big deal, but in the world of Centralia, it was a big deal. We've had a lot of feedback about that, right? So I think that that's what we've got to be careful of and mindful of looking at the overall benefit and what the happy medium is. So I don't know if that answers it, but I think it's an explanation of what we have to deal with as human beings doing this job. And sometimes we don't get it exactly right. I think there's always been intention in what we try to do, and sometimes we're a little off. But if we're a little off, some people say I'm a little off all the time, that's fine, but being a little off is okay as long as we're willing to admit that it could be maybe better and we can change something. So this may be one of those areas that we're going to do that. If that makes sense.
Thank you, Mayor. Any more comments on the speed limits?
Yep, I'd like to make a comment. one of the things to realize is that speed limits are about safety. There's an engineering component to that. It has to do with stopping sight distance. It has to do with widths of right-of-way. It has to do with whether there are sidewalks or not. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but there is a very serious engineering component that is considered in that. None of that was considered when these speed limits were lowered. Believe me, I follow people through this town all the time who are going well in excess of the speed limits. They're just ignoring them. And they're going what they think to be a safe distance and a safe speed. And I'm going to tell you that in some of these places, they are going a safe speed, but they're well above the speed limit. I mean, you out here to the intermediate school and there's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. There's it's a wider right-of-way because it's a collector street. It's a wider street. The school parking lot is 60 feet back from where the sidewalks are. I mean, there's no kids out there. You go through there at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, there is nobody out there. And the speed limit is 20 miles an hour. But nobody pays attention to it. That's wrong. And I told you so.
Okay. Any other comments? Yeah.
So I'm Tim Granke, 230 South Hickman. I would like to commend the council for actually taking some action. I know that working in the safety office for many years with the National Guard, working with MoDOT always did a traffic study to find out what the speed limits are, and then they would post their speed limits based on that traffic study. And like Mr. Borman said, I don't think any type of actual investigation was done before y'all just lowered it to 25.
We actually did have a machine for a period of time, but it broke, if I remember correctly.
It's broken, yeah, it's still
It broke,
okay.
so we weren't able to finish everything, but we did not want to kick the can down the road 6 months or something like that.
Okay.
So we actually
Well,
did do one study.
Again, thanks for doing something. I appreciate what y'all do for the city.
Any other comments on speed limits? Okay, we'll move on to the next section there, which is about parking spaces, angled versus parallel. We've got the corner of Hickman and Singleton and Cox Barber Shop, the corner of Singleton and Jefferson and Chance Gardens. So, open to comments from citizens on those?
Definitely me. Figured everybody was wondering. Obviously, my biggest thing again, I'm not too worried about it. I got private parking for myself and the residents for upstairs and stuff like that with what's going on over there. The biggest thing is why I requested for the parking to be changed to where it's at now 2.5 years ago before getting over there is that was the biggest feedback from my customer base, but right before I got over there. They wanted, I've got a lot of elderly people that their reflexology is not the same as it used to be. They can't parallel park. And if you looked at it, there's nothing but parallel parking all the way around there. The road was obviously wide enough considering the block closer to the square was already that. I have a fire hydrant there on the corner, which cushions it. There's there's an empty parking space that wasn't utilized there because of that. There have been no accidents that I'm aware of there, so I don't know, what the situation is, why it would be a problem. I understand that it might, you might have to inch up and look, but that's probably a good problem to have at the edge of the business district when you're wanting to progress and thrive. So I'm not really going to apologize for being busy and filling those spots. So, but if something was needed to change there, I don't think that, making my business like stalemating it, stagnant, doing something that's detrimental to the business would not be the right way to go, I don't believe. So maybe like other towns have a flashing, four-way red light coming into the square, coming into the city. Maybe we've progressed and that's what we need there. Maybe we can put move the handicap spot and make it van accessible there next to the fire, location, and maybe you'll get a little more cushion there or whatnot. But anyways, not so much me, I mean, I definitely don't wanna see a change at all, but, I'll lose some customers, and I'm the one that'll listen to the customers complain more than anybody, so that's my 2 cents on it.
Thank you.
Anyone else have comments on angled versus parallel?
Well, you know me. My complaint is not necessarily in front of Chad or down at Chant. Well, it is in front of the gardens. And Phil, I'm sorry, but like when you put the new lines in on Singleton in front of our office, there's about a 6 to 10 inch difference in the way the angle used to be compared to what it is now. And so it throws vehicles out further into the street. And if it was at more of a severe angle in there like it was originally, then the cars they're just not out in the middle of the street like they were before. If that makes any sense. I mean, the lines are still there, they're visible in front of our office, so you can see what the difference is in the way they were drawn back on the street.
All the lines are at a 45-degree angle, every line in town that we repaint.
Well, then the
Yeah,
ones
every single-
before.
Oh, I guarantee the ones before weren't. I mean, they changed over the years, but when they're put back at a 45-degree angle, just like they should be.
So is that what code is for this?
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we will close the open forum. We have a general comments from citizens section. Open that if anybody's got comments on another topic.
I do. I know that everybody's been reading it on Facebook and fussing and complaining about the recycling bin. And like this morning, the first I saw an elderly lady here in town, they didn't pick up my recycling Friday. I'm calling City Hall this afternoon. Well, call City Hall, that's fine. But I'm not sure that they're actually even picking anything up anywhere, and so I'm thinking that we need to just have Danes, I mean, this is my own opinion, quit doing recycling and maybe put 2 more containers up here. I mean, obviously, they're not taking cardboard, and that's a huge problem from all the pictures that I'm seeing on Facebook, along with the fact that they're dropping trash there. Now that, I don't condone that at all. But I'm thinking that maybe we need to do away with Danes as far as recycling and just put some more dumpsters up there, and hopefully then people will use them, go from there. I don't know what the answer is, but something's got to give.
Any other comments from citizens?
Before you close that, I got a comment about it. The recycling, help me understand this, Mike. That recycling, the way I understand it, if one of the recycling bins goes over there and it's got other things in it other than recyclables, they take and dump the whole thing out in the landfill.
That's the way it used to be. I don't know if that's the way they're still doing it, but that's the way it used to be.
If it's full of trash, they're gonna dump it.
But I mean, they're not gonna sift through it, is
No,
that
probably
correct?
not.
So the point being, if they see something in there, what we're trying to do for the environment and everything is being, a lot of efforts being made for something that ends up not being done when it gets there.
They're picking up Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and their times seem to be getting a little more consistent. With the COVID thing going on, there was no consistency. I mean,
Well, and when it was real cold, I think they
Right.
missed a couple of days, and
Right.
I understand that.
and they were short of people.
Yeah.
Bad. I mean, that was what caused a lot of it. Now, this morning, there were buku trash, cardboard over there. I know the guys pulled off and went over there and.
Oh, I know Phil's guys are doing a lot of work.
Yeah, and we put a sign up to say, if it's full, please take it back, and as soon as the truck is re-switched out, and they bring our recycling dumpster back when they do it, but nobody pays attention to that, they just drop it off, along with everything else. I mean, we've had shopping carts show up there,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I know Dane's told Don one time that if there's any trash in it, that they have to just dump it in with the regular trash. It can't go to recycling. And so in that case, then, do we even want to mess with it? Maybe we should just completely do away with it, unless people want to take it elsewhere.
When I was in Paris, they brought over, it was somewhere in Monroe City, but it was kind of like the handy shop in Mexico. I don't know what your all's contract is or whatnot, but they would bring trailers over and set them in the parking lot of the city hall behind it, and you would fill the trailers up, and then they would take them. And unlike, they have people that can only be employed to do kind of that kind of stuff, and so they would take the bottle caps. They didn't want you to crush the cans. They didn't want you to take the bottle caps off the can, you know. But if there was trash in there, they even sifted through it. So I don't know if that's something maybe you guys could reach out to Handy Shop and get them to just bring another trailer or two, because I know in Monroe or in Paris, they just wanted the business. They wanted to be able to bring the trailer, you know, a trailer a week, get it full of recyclables, and then take it back to Monroe City and sift it and make their money off the recycling that way. So
I agree, there needs to be something, the cardboard's paying for us. His crew has, you know,
I understand.
2 hours in the morning just picking up cardboard.
We lose a lot of productive man hours and time cleaning up that site, and overflowing and.
Well, the other thing would be then, Phil's gonna hate me, I'm gonna be on his bad list, is for Phil to hire some guys and go back to doing recycling the way we used to do it, because then you've got control over it. Sorry, Phil.
We do have a contract through October of this year, and we are going out for proposals for trash service to see if it would be more cost effective if we took it back over ourselves. So I mean, that is something we are looking at this year.
Okay. Cool.
They got so selective about what they took, I just quit recycling. Everything goes in the trash now. I'll be real honest with you, and I have a trash can that's for recycle and non-recycle. And I was very good about recycling and doing what needed to be done, but when they quit taking cardboard and they quit taking this, and it got to be too much of a hassle, I just quit doing it.
We're not the only ones having this problem. I was helping one of my sons in Columbia, and we took the stuff over, and the things were overflowing, and it was stuff thrown in there, just like it was in there. It's a nightmare.
don't follow their anything.
And don't do what they're doing.
No, don't follow their recycling. Don't do anything there.
I'd also like to say, I just moved here from Columbia 6 months ago. In Columbia, you were lucky to see a snowplow come through a residential street 2 days after a storm. I mean, it took that long for them to, you know, it was like, and they didn't do that unless it was over, I think, 4 inches. If it was less than that, you're just on your own. So I would really compliment the city for the way you've handled the snow removal and the snow plows. I think you've done a really good job. I think you've been very responsive. I'm not crazy about the cinders. I would encourage you to use something, find something else besides that.
We've got somebody else that's kind of like.
And, what did you say again?
No cinders.
No cinders. Yeah, you ever heard of that?
We've tried that, it doesn't work.
The other thing I would the street sweeper came through, because all the cinders you threw out, it was a real mess. And I walk a lot, but the street sweeper came through, and that did a marvelous job of picking all that up. So overall, I really compliment the city for doing a good job.
Well, one comment on that, the new sweeper, which it is new, we had an older one, and it pretty much pushed everything along and didn't pick it up. But we have a new one, and we got a new operator, and I think he's doing a really good job.
He did an excellent job.
He's pretty conscientious about it, and I think he's gonna do a good job with us, so.
Okay, any other comments from citizens? One, five. Okay. Closing comments from citizens. Jeff, you've made it, so we'll move on to our electric department. Activity reports in the pocket, in the packet.
In your pocket.
Anything you want to point out for us tonight?
No, I'm still working on a few things from the ice storm.
Yeah, if you want.
In between whatever else we got going on.
I've got it right here.
That's about it.
how much more work, percentage-wise, do we have left?
I've got 2 blocks of alley I have to rebuild. I gotta pull in new wire. I mean, I'm hoping in another week I can get it finished if I can stay there long enough.
I have a thing about a street light, the one on Adams Street by Mystic and Adams. It's kind of acting goofy. Sometimes it's just off and will never come on, and then sometimes it's on. So I don't know if that's something you can check out.
All right, yeah.
It gets really dark over there.
Okay, yeah.
Anything for generation or purchase, distribution? School zone light update and cost estimate. This is the Butler Supply.
Yes.
quote.
So Jeff, the quotes are in the packet if you want to speak to those, what they're all about.
I mean, I think we definitely want to go with timers. I mean, the LED lights are about 500 apiece. And we've got 5 of them we have to get. But, I mean, timers, I don't really know who all is going to be, is this something that everybody's going to be able to
Access as far as
access
signal.
it, or, you know, I don't, that's gonna, you get it down too low, there's gonna be too many people accessing it, don't need to be accessing.
We're gonna need a little guidance on what we're gonna do, because if you're just doing it for basketball tournaments or something like that, school plays and stuff, it's gonna be hard to keep up with.
I think when he's talking about accessing, he's talking about school personnel, somebody that could go out there and turn it on like during those kind of events.
And I mean, usually we put them about 20 feet in the air, and we're the only ones.
Well, how do you set them? I mean, do you set them wirelessly, or how do you do it?
Well, you can go in there and set them Monday through Friday, or you can set up anytime you want them, but
Through a program on a
I don't
keyboard or
know, on these new ones, the old ones didn't have as many options, now
Right.
the new ones may have more options.
Right. When you turn your lights on in your house, or you can lock your doors from Florida, I mean, so I'm not trying to be smart, I'm just saying that,
Well, I don't know if these
I
are,
don't know what kind we got, right? So if it's 20 feet in the air and it's cumbersome to do, then people are be less active in doing it, you know, it's easier to just set all the time, right? So we gotta, I think, weigh that, you know, I mean,
Monday through Friday was just normal school hours, basically.
7:30, 4:30 or whatever,
Is what it
what it
was
used to be, right?
before.
Yeah,
And then if you got any activities after hours, I don't
add that. But
think.
that would be the time you change it, right? And that the school would dictate when they were having an event, what period of time, I guess, at some point.
I won't personally know.
Sure. It'll take some coordination, I think, and discussion, right, about, you know, 7:30 to 4:30 is the norm. That's always gonna be on there, right, in school.
Right.
Then, but I think it's the events that you have to look at, because when they're having that basketball tournament that they have over there, you know, and so
Right.
forth, that's when it,
Yeah, and then even on Saturdays, I mean, I'm sure they have events.
So I guess really what we spend depends on how advanced we want these timers or the lights to work. So it's gonna cost more if we want something a little bit more advanced. But it looks like it'll be a little over $1,000 to put a light on all 6 of them that has just like a general timer that you can set Monday through Friday during regular school hours. You want something a little bit more
Probably your
advanced.
standard.
I'm not sure that it's all that important to change those and put them up there for basketball games and stuff. I mean, there's enough vehicles there, people tend to slow down regardless.
I agree, I think Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 4:30 is.
That's the main one,
we
I
should
mean,
and
have.
then not all summer.
I don't see people speeding through there when there's a lot of cars around there. When
they
there's
shut them off during
events.
the summer,
Yeah.
you know.
I think our intent during our last conversation was trying to get school hours.
Yeah.
Right, that's
Not
We
like
could do
on all the
every
time.
special event, it would be it's
Yeah, it's
too
something
too
we
many
can't do
on and
it.
offs and
Yeah.
trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I think school 7:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday is my opinion as well.
So, I mean, if we're talking $1,000 to change the lights from always on to something that is on from 7:30 to 4:30, I mean, I think that's a
Well,
good
that's a big
investment.
improvement.
Now, is that for each light, or is that just all of them?
That's 6.
Each light
For
has
each
its
light
own timer.
would be $1,000 for each
No.
light?
No,
All
six.
six. All 6
Oh,
are
all
Total
$1,000.
cost,
That's all.
total cost.
Hey, that's all better.
Yes, that's your reason, that's your reason, right?
Yeah, that's reasonable.
That's very good.
I was having trouble reading those bids on my phone.
Okay.
Any more discussion on
That cost does not require board approval, but I think we'll go ahead and move forward then, if the board's in agreement.
I think it's, makes sense.
Jeff, you got anything else you want to bring up tonight? Okay, Phil? After you got a nice praise from the guys down there. You did a great job.
Most of last month was, plowing snow.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, we got 2 new guys that started the first month, and, they fit in and picked up real quick, so they've been doing really good.
Anything else you want to point out in the activity package?
Plowing snow and trying to get the trucks maintained in between snows. We've got one stripped down and got some cold mix, we've started doing that, so we're caught up on the patching, so.
Okay. We have on here discussion of parking spaces on Singleton.
We've already covered it.
Yeah, we
Is
already
that
did
kind of
that.
a duplicate at this
I
point?
think so.
Okay. So we'll move on from that. Anything for sanitation?
Just dealing with the recycle bin several times a week.
We have discussed putting a camera specifically on the recycling bin. We've talked about it a couple different times. I think it's probably time to go ahead and do it. And there is a sign there that says if you're caught littering, if you leave trash laying out that's littering, we'll just have to work with the police department to start sending notices or writing tickets or whatever needs to happen there.
It's costing the city money every time people
Yeah.
just dump and
Get
run,
rid of that.
so.
Well, some of the cardboard boxes that were piled up there at one time made me think that there's a business uptown that doesn't have their cardboard picked up. Phil, do you know if that's the case?
All they have to do is call.
Well, I know
mean,
that,
I
but,
don't know. I mean, we pick up a good chunk of businesses.
because was a couple of new boutiques opening and stuff, I wondered if maybe they didn't know and just was taking it over
I
there.
couldn't tell you there.
Okay.
It might be worth sending out a notice though to businesses and let
It
them know
probably
that we do
would.
And there are a few new businesses that, as soon as, when they seen us, we started picking them up.
Okay.
They were just throwing it away, so.
Oh, okay.
But I do
Well, I
know
mean,
there's a lot of out of town that comes in.
That is true.
There's a lot of
There's a lot of out of town, yes.
Any storm sewer?
We're just got a few little drainage, just some small projects, building an inlet and pipe was,
Come on, boys, for you.
So, just some little things, nothing big going on right now.
Any other? No? We'll move on to water and sewer. Activity packet is in the packet. Matt, anything you want to point out?
Been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks. No,
It's general consensus.
I think we're on the downhill slide of it, but, it's been a couple hard weeks that we've had to go through. So a lot of help from the other guys, other departments, so we appreciate that very much.
Somebody said that the ice or the ground was frozen about 8-10 inches down, and that makes it hard for you guys, I know that.
Yeah, we had some stuff froze up that normally doesn't freeze up, and a couple big leaks, and so it's been fun.
Anything specific for water?
No, I want to say thank you for helping us get those valves. You guys, I think I gotta talk to you guys about the valves, and Mike's talked about the valves for you, and what we got done the last week and this week already was not possible without those, so.
We have the easy part, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
The guys have kind of been sharing the major catastrophe. Jeff started all this mess with this ice storm.
Well, actually, Christmas Day, he started
And
it.
then Matt decides to follow up with valves that don't shut down leaks, so that's
That's
part
our
of
three,
it.
right?
Valve done.
Valve's done. Valves are done, he fixed the leak, we had to get the valves in, fix the leak, and he fixed the leak today, so.
Oh, wonderful.
Cool. Good job.
It's done, so.
Might point out on the plant, we shut the plant down Thursday, so we're right now in remodel mode. So we're pumping out of well 6, disinfecting out there. Matt and them been checking the chlorine on it and everything, tested really good at it, and checked it tonight, it's perfect, so I think we're gonna be fine on that. They hooked the skate up, so nobody's having to come in and wait for the pumps to kick off to shut things down and stuff, so everything seems to be working good. If we're in full chaos out there at the water plant right now, because people are going everywhere.
Anything you want to point out for sewer?
No,
And any other update for the water treatment plant?
just a lot happening. They've got the pipe gallery in the basement tore apart, as we speak, and they've got a crane out there to start doing some of the clarifier work, so say this week and next week's probably gonna be, we're running out of parking spots out there. So,
That's a good thing right now.
whether it's parallel or not, it's where I'm at.
Good one, Matt.
So moving on to other reports, your activity reports in the packet, anything you want to point out?
We had a pre-bid meeting on the wastewater side last Wednesday, and I think there was 17 people that showed up, and there's a lot more that have plans. I think we're gonna get a lot of bids on that. The prices out in the market were better, but with the amount we're doing, we're gonna get the best price we can. So I'm just hoping to come in where we need them. We met with Martin's on the water plant side, so everybody's getting on the same page. Jeff coordinated with the electrician out there. Matt's doing daily stuff out there with them, and I'm trying to stick with it best I can too, so. We're starting to get people coming in, bidding, or looking at the roads for the paving, so we're getting really close on those bids coming in, so we'll see how they work out. We're doing quite a bit again this year, so I feel like we're gonna get a lot done. It's gonna be a busy summer.
Can't remember the numbers when I looked at the budget, we're up this year from last year.
Yeah.
Remember about how much?
About 100,000.
That's real good.
Well, yes, we need to talk about something that we, maybe now's a good time to talk about it.
It is.
We are, as may arise, if Mike's done.
Yeah, I'll let Heather talk about it. We were looking at grant opportunities with Lincoln, that's what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Lincoln Brown, right? And we know that Lakeview Street, Jefferson Street is a huge run of linear feet. And we have stormwater that we were talking about, and I'll let Heather kind of go from there from where the discussion went, but we found a way to, I think, make it a pretty sure thing, a much
Right.
better thing, so. go
So
ahead.
we have, we have budgeted for, street overlays is already in the budget, which that's the draft budget's online. But if we were able to, kind of combine some things, if we combine the whole entire overlay for Jefferson with the storm, sewer, replacement that's under Extreme Mart that we're quite concerned about. And then on the other side of Jefferson with the stormwater, fill in the big ditch by the high school, take it all the way out to No Chance. And so if we can put $150,000 towards that as an entire project, in the end, it's really gonna save us about $150,000 because just that ditch in front of the high school is about that, and then the culvert, it'll save us more than $150,000.
And the street is a part, yeah, we were talking about it, and our grant was kind of low with what we were trying to get, and because there's more competition, they don't like to do the engineering, they like the engineering to be done, and that be paid for the city. That's a bonus almost to them, that they don't have to fool with that, and it meets their specifications, the city does that. So that gives you a one-up a little bit when they look at the process of what they're awarding, as we were talking. And then we talked about the road, Heather and I were talking, we were talking about what we got Jefferson Street to do, but that really ties into the infrastructure and the stormwater runoff as far as the crowning of the street and the road and all of that, and all plays together to how it runs to the ditches or to the inlets for the sewer system. So that being said, he said absolutely we could do that. So, you know, it's maybe an opportunity, we may rethink that a little bit and talk about that more, but it may be an opportunity for us to maintain Jefferson Street this year, which we were planning on an overlay. And the overlays we're doing are we do it the right way. So if it needs to be ground, it gets ground, and we do it, we finish it to the right ground. But we can hold off and maintain that road. Now, that road has unbelievable traffic, so if we can get that thing fixed right and all tied together in one project, that would be a great way to do it, for the taxpayers' money as well as for us as a city, I believe. We can count the engineering towards our part of our share of the grant, as well as any work that the city crews would do on anything, preparing, whatever it may be, we would get to count those hours and that labor cost. So it's an opportunity for us to be able to tie all that together, because it's such a thoroughfare. I also said it would really disrupt the city as far as transit, because there's so much traffic goes down there. If you can imagine, you get down there and that storm sewer collapse up there by the middle school, then you're diverting people right or left there to get around to get to 22 or vice versa. You're talking about getting into the city, downtown area, and down the other way towards the other railroad track, tight turns. It could be a real mess if that happens. So, you know, we want to make sure we take that into consideration. So if we can get by, there may be an opportunity for us to get a lot done in that project, and that would be let the spring of next year. So we would have to maintain the road till next year. That work will be done. So.
Heather, does any of that include money from the county for roads and whatnot?
Yes. Yeah, we budget about $70,000 of our overlay from the county.
Okay.
And then there's another it's about $62,000 that goes into the general fund that helps with the rest of the streets, street maintenance, alley maintenance, things like that, sidewalks.
They have plenty of streets that can be done, so I mean, if it means just moving Jefferson out of here to see if we can get the grants, it sounds like it.
We do need to decide that pretty soon, because we've already given them a list of what we had planned to do, and then this just came up on Friday. Friday morning is when Chris and I had the conversation with Lincoln. He said the grant is not open yet, the application's not open yet, but he looks for them usually in the springtime.
So what's the risk? I mean, is there a serious risk to over here by Extreme if we wait 1 year to see if we get grants?
I don't think a year is gonna hurt us. Like pictures that I've got and stuff, we've got some curling in the pipe. It's nothing that's really starting to cave in and everything. It's just a few of the joints. When I say a few, that ever other one, but it's nothing it needs to be attended pretty quick. We got one spot that's got a pretty good chunk. It's missing in the middle of the pipe. It's not like it's caving on top, and we can monitor that as we go. So
it's like
And that's
the next 3 years, we gotta get something done.
It's probably
Right.
the last 3 years of
Right.
that you're really at risk.
And that is the project that we plan to do for next fiscal year. The one that we were going to do this fiscal year that was bigger, we had two. We had a sidewalk all along Booth Street from Jefferson to the swimming pool. And then the high school, right in front of the high school. Now that, for what we had estimated, what we had budgeted, we were not gonna be able to go all the way to Gano Chance for that, to fill that whole entire ditch in. But with this grant, we could potentially do that, maybe do a little bit more.
Still finish it all the way through.
Right.
And get it completed.
Sounds like it could be a good
Would this
opportunity
grant be for next year then?
It would be,
And
yeah.
construction the following year?
Yeah, we would start it this year and then,
In April, it would get let, and at that point, you could go out for bid and go to work on it next spring. So it would be 2022.
Sounds like a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Any other as may arise?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion to adjourn in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Does anyone need a break?
no, keep going.
I have 7:17, I call the meeting of the Borough Government Public Safety Committee to order.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and sharing your opinions. We do appreciate it.
I know attendance has been taken. Any comments from citizens? Like I said, Linda, you said you.
Yeah. I was trying to surmise all the bids for the police cars versus lease versus whatever. And I don't know why those interest rates were as high as they were. We've bought new vehicles recently and we got ours financed at half of that. And maybe it's just because you're making one big payment. I don't know, I'm just asking, so anyway.
I don't know, and what's in the packet is actually not the most up-to-date information. It didn't get updated, but
okay.
Chief has an up-to-date list.
All right, that's fine. I just wanted to mention it. You know me.
Yeah.
Any other comments from citizens? Hearing none. Insurance information for fiscal year 21-22.
We've invited Matthew Broderson with Myrna to come speak today. You all should have a comparison in your packet. If not, I do have a copy here and I can do that. So we went out for bid and we opened the bids December 4th. And I think I sent an email to the board about that. I don't know if you all
Sorry
got
about
that or
picking
not.
on you.
And at the time, we received two proposals. One was from Myrna and one was from Jet Angel, who we currently have our insurance through. And he said that the agencies that he was working with would not quote out to April 1. So he gave us last year's figures. Last year's figures were about $33,000 to $3,400 less than what Myrna gave us. Well, when they came in, our liability came in at $10,000 more, and our work comp came in at $23,000 more. And so I panicked. And I said, what can we do? And so Jed is still looking for, I have talked to him, and he said he's still trying to get us a better quote for work comp. I don't think that he can do that for liability. So Matthew, since we have not heard from Myrna in a while, I don't know if this board has ever all heard about Myrna. So he's here to present some information to you.
Thanks for your time. I'll prattle on a little bit. You all tell me when you want me to be quiet. Happy to sit back down. Matthew Broderson, I'm the Executive Director of Myrna. Jenny Ocker, Finance Director, is here with me also. So if you have difficult questions, she can answer that.
He just threw you under the bus, Jenny.
So Myrna's not an insurance company. We're a nonprofit association. We were formed in 1981 as the first public entity pool in the state of Missouri with 8 members. We're up to 92 members right now. We could have more than that, but we're pretty selective on who we let into the association. I'm familiar with your all's community. I think you'll do some good things here, so we'd be happy to have you be a part of our membership. We have a small staff of currently 11 people in Columbia, Missouri. Staff all kind of lives in the surrounding area. Not a lot of us actually live in city limits of Columbia. And yeah, their recycling's terrible. What I put together, I did a comparison for you based on the policies that you all had readily available. It's a little bit difficult because you currently got your coverage spread across 3 different renewal dates and with 5 different companies. So I compared ours on the left-hand side of the spreadsheet that I sent out with what you currently got in place or what's being proposed for your renewal. As Heather mentioned, our 12-month cost effective on 7/1 of this coming year, 7/1/21, would be a little over $190,000. Your current 12-month cost with what you have in place and your renewals that are proposed for 4/1 is $214,000. So we're about $24,000 less. We also provide a much higher amount of coverage. If you look at the liability limits that we provide, they're much greater than what you're currently carrying. Our deductibles are also much less. We have no liability deductibles. Our property deductibles are less. I highlighted on green the strengths that our program presented. I have in green on the other side the strengths that what you currently got. Really bottom line is we provide better coverage at a better price than what the city currently has in place. We also do a lot of loss control services for our members. We have grant programs where we'll fund certain things that will reduce your liability exposures and your workers' compensation exposures. The sole purpose we exist is to take care of our member cities. That's what we do, and I think that we're pretty good at it. I'm happy to answer any questions. Yeah.
Heather, was the increase, was the 191,000 in round numbers, the increase you were basing off, or was that off the other numbers that are in here?
The increase is based off last year's numbers, well, actually based off of the quote that we received on December 4th.
Okay. And how does that compare to Norman's quote? Is that?
Those numbers are in here. Actually, Matthew had our that MOPERM increase that says 89,000. Okay. We were 78,000 last year.
Okay.
And then our Missouri Rural Services, we were at 40-some thousand last year, and we're at 68. So he had those numbers, and those are
So
plugged in.
okay, that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
make sure I understood. Now, you mentioned you have a higher coverage. Does it have to be the higher coverage? Could there be
Yes.
money saved if we
No.
even split the difference?
We essentially provide one coverage packet that's available to all members of the associations. The only alteration we have is some of our biggest cities, we allow them to take a larger deductible, and that reduces their cost of insurance, but they carry more exposure that way.
I had to ask.
Fair enough.
Any other questions?
No, it looks like overall, if we did go with Murmaz, it would be about $10,000 more than what we paid last year. Instead of, and if we went with Angel Insurance, it would be about $33,000 more than what we paid last year.
This is everything in one. There won't be all these different dates. So.
Yeah.
So it'd be calendar year?
That's,
No, it's a 7/1 fiscal year that we operate
Yeah, so
on.
it'd be that, but it'd be annual, it'll all come due at the same time.
Right, so what I propose doing is on April 1st, you would start everything with Myrma. It would be for 3 months, and then on 7/1, everything would renew for a full year. And the $190,000 is the cost for the full year that starts on 7/1. The 3-month period is 25% of what your cost would have been if you were in the association this year.
Okay.
This year's full cost was $172, so 25% of that's $43,129.
It would have been 172 to 191.
Yes. I can tell you
So-
some of the reasons behind that.
I was gonna say, is that a normal increase?
That's a
Is that a yearly increase?
$19,000 increase, what do you relate that to?
Okay.
Three that way we can
Three
correct
main
what
things
we
played into that. One was I projected our upcoming year's increase at 4.4% because we are seeing increased volatility in our excess property placement. The second factor that drives that is the city's payroll. You all took about a 4.5% increase in your payroll from 2019 to 2020, and we base everything on payroll for the year that has just ended. Then the third factor that played into it was your loss experience. We look back at the most 3 completed policy years or coverage years. Your losses, essentially 4 years ago at this point, were better than they were when I looked at them anew, which are just 3 years. So your losses are trending negative a little bit.
So, minus the payroll, how much of an increase would we have?
Well, minus the payroll. I know that 4.4% is the increase for our rate adjustment for this coming year. And then the other would be because of your loss experience. So if I was a little quicker in math, I could figure out what's left after those 2 places are
So
done.
the baseline, what you're saying is we would have seen a 4.4 increase, but we also have increases built in with our union over the next few years, so we're going to see increases on top of that.
Right.
So we can pass those that way.
Yeah. every workers' compensation insurer bases their costs on payroll. So that's nothing that's specific to us. What is specific to us is we base the entire cost on payroll. The way the association functions is at the beginning of each year, we determine what will cost to run the association for the upcoming year, which is roughly $16 million. We need to divide that among the members in some manner. So we elected to use payroll as the basis, because everybody counts it the same way. So we divide the 16 million by the total payroll in the association. That's how we develop our rate per hundred. The rate per hundred is the first graph that's on this sheet that I handed out to you. Sorry, I'm short one, so somebody didn't get one. That shows what our rate per hundred has been for the last 12 years, 13 years. There's very little fluctuation in what the rates that we charge. There has been a slight uptick over the first few years because of the wind and hail market, primarily in the Midwest, for our reinsurance placement is problematic. The reinsurers, which are the nationwide and worldwide insurers, started using new modeling because they realized they were losing a lot of money on hail in the Midwest, and that has driven up costs. Because of the way the pool functions, we purchase reinsurance for property claims that are greater than $1 million. That's a small portion of our budget. That's why when they took an 80% increase this year, the amount of increase in our rate was fairly small.
Heather? On this first sheet of enrollment benefits, it shows services that the membership includes, which are free, doesn't go at additional cost. Of those, are all those something that's above and beyond what we get today?
Yes.
So that would all be things that we could use and leverage for training in several areas, awards programs, employment helpline.
We do have an employment helpline currently
Yeah.
through Loper, I think, but I think we've only used it once. But the training programs, Missouri Rural Services, I had a conference call with them in March or April of last year, and they were supposed to have something up and going about some training and things like that, and it's never come to fruition as far as I know.
And if this police accreditation reimbursement, if I read this right, the 50% of $2,500, so $1,250 a year, we could get back in that accredited field for police training?
I think it's 50% of the cost of the Missouri-based accreditation, which I think that costs $5,000 now. So I believe.
So it would be $2,500. So they're saying 50% represents $2,500 and $5,000, which is what it is today.
Yeah, and if you wanted Kalia, which is very expensive, it's still just $2,500.
Right, gotcha. Got it. All right, just wondering about the benefits too, compare what we're getting.
I will tell you that the post-certification training that Myrna does is on Police One. We have done it in the past. It's good stuff. I mean, it's just an hour every month for everybody, so it's good stuff.
I don't believe we currently have the aquatic risk management audit and lifeguard instructor reimbursement. We don't have anything like that. I just picked that one out there. I'm pretty sure we don't have it.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Maggie.
Moving on to Public Safety Police Department, activity reports in your packet. Bob, is there anything you want to point out?
Not on that portion, no.
Any questions or comments? Moving on to other, fiscal year 21-22 police vehicle purchase versus lease purchase program.
The matrix that's in your packet wasn't the most up to date. I believe the bids are. I looked at them earlier today. I'll just give you a little history real quick. We currently have 4 vehicles. They're well in excess of 100,000 miles. Still run, but they're well in excess of 100,000 miles. The littlest one was 121,836. The lease purchase thing came up just accidentally, honestly. I've been talking to Heather ever since and these different companies about lease purchase and everything else. If you'll look at that summary, I've got apples to apples with the Interceptor and the Durango, and then there's an orange stuck in there because Chevrolet, the only thing they have is a Tahoe. Okay, so the Explorer and the Durango are almost identical. As far as features go, V6, all-wheel drive, SUV. These are all on state bid. So they've all been through the process and everything else. Joe Lockins, Lou Hughes, and Don Brown are all the state bidders that have received the state bid. And I talked about it. It says right there for you. One-time payment. Now, okay, hold on. Let me stop for just a minute. The prices, the reason the one in the package on right is these prices that are on this one include what is professionally called the upfit, which means lights, siren, everything to make it go blink down the road. Okay. All we'll have to do to it whenever we get it is put the radio in it, which we already have, and it'll be ready to go. So those prices that you see for yearly payment are including that. Heather and I talked about this. I got 4 vehicles I get around right now. And if you all want to go with this lease purchase thing, we replace it with 3, we're good. This should take us 2 years for sure, probably 3. The next closest one I've got is about 73,000 miles. Probably 3 would be my guess before we ever have to look at purchasing another vehicle. That would put 5 of the 7 we have under warranty. 3-year, 36,000 mile, bumper to bumper, 100,000 mile drivetrain. All the lights and everything else have a 5-year warranty on. Doesn't matter the mileage, the lights, sirens, all that stuff. All the stuff that they put in has a 5-year warranty. You can see the numbers there, the annual lease purchase payments. And as far as your question, I have no idea. This is just the numbers I got from the leasing companies that are associated with those manufacturers. And, you know, so like I said, it shoots out the 4-year lease. One of them did give me a 3-year lease, but like I said, I included it. I want to make sure we're transparent here. As it is, the Durango from Lou Hughes, I know that they've got, talking to that guy, they got 50 of them on order, supposed to be here in like the next 3 weeks. And that is if you want the numbers for just the vehicles, the vehicles themselves, the Durango is $32,422. It's about $5,500 to get them outfitted, and like I said, lights, siren, consoles, computer mounts, partitions, the prisoner partition between the seats, lights front and back, light bar, the whole 9 yards. So, like I said, the numbers are here, and that's what I got. Yes, Chris?
Let me ask you some quick questions. How many vehicles would you have now, and what do you foresee that we'll need as our fleet moving forward?
We have 9 right now. Okay. And I'm here to get rid of 4. We'll have 8. That's, I don't see anything, and that includes mine.
Okay, and so my question is this. I see SUVs here. Is there a trend to go to SUVs for a specific purpose and not cars, or what? Can you
The only cars that are out there are the Dodge Charger. Okay.
Right.
Room-wise, SUV, we have found that they suit us a lot better as an SUV versus the cars. because of the amount of stuff you can store in them, the room you've got, and, you know, it's a little higher than you do in the car.
Are they four-wheel drive?
Yes,
Yeah, I got Durango, so.
all of them are all-wheel drive.
Okay.
So you're saying you go from 9 vehicles to 8 vehicles if we did this, leasing how many?
Leasing 3.
3. And the Durango's actually the cheapest on here.
Correct. I did reach out to Jim Butler, but I haven't heard anything back. So, and like I said, they do the Tahoe too, so, and generally their base price on Tahoe was $38,690, so. That's just the beginning.
So what's our budget per year for vehicles at this point?
$35,000.
Oh. I was looking at the numbers, I knew I saw it somewhere.
So this is a little bit different because I thought I had it set up differently, but on the spreadsheet. So your 2020, your Ford Interceptor, if you did 3 years, would be $43,461 a year. If you did 4 years, it'd be $33,477 a year. Your Dodge Durango, if you did 4 years, is $30,990 a year. And your Tahoe, if you did the Tahoe, it's $35,610 a year.
And is there a big difference to you in a Durango versus the others, and if so, why?
No.
Okay.
They
Because
are all,
have the same warranty.
they are all, I'll use, police performance vehicles.
Okay.
That's what they call. They don't call them interceptors anymore.
But they all have the same,
They all have the same
warranty.
package, they're all built to be police
Same
vehicles.
warranty,
Huh?
same warranty packages on
Yes,
them?
yes.
That's something where it
Yes.
boils down to, right?
Right.
And if
Right.
something's
And like I
wrong,
said,
then fix it.
the features of the Durango are actually a little bit better because they have some skid plates. Hopefully we're not jumping things, but just, they actually come with a tow package.
Well, we don't want you jumping things.
No, they actually, the Durango comes with a tow package versus the Explorer does not.
Okay.
You know, stuff like that.
Understood. So,
Just
yeah,
little
that's why I want to ask that question. If
No,
there's
I'm-
anything
I'm legit.
substantial, because fiscally, we're gonna look at things, right? And we want to fiscally look at them.
Right, and like I said, you're pretty much doing apples to apples when it comes to Explorer versus Durango. Like I said, the orange I threw in there because the fact was it was the third one that was out there, and it's the only thing Chevrolet offers except for a pickup truck. But,
Did you ever get a response from Brad Forrest?
no, that's why I said I called Jim Butler, but I have never gotten anything back. I contacted
So
him twice about it.
overall, would leasing the Durango save the city money every year than purchasing?
Yes, because it was $10,330. If you do it 3 times, you're looking at what? $31,990 versus the $35,000. So you're still saving $4,000.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's easy to set those up. What we want to do, if we start to look at this, we ought to look at putting in a life cycle rotation.
Right, and we had tried that. We had tried that with Heather, and Heather actually had no books and everything else, but I completely
We're gonna blame everything.
How many miles can you put on the leased vehicles?
Yeah.
They're lease purchase.
Yeah.
At the end of it, you pay $1 and they're yours.
No penalty if we overdo it.
No, sir. At the end of it, you pay $1 and they're your vehicle. It doesn't matter which one.
So what's the negative here? I mean, right now, everything sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds too good to be true.
Well, like I said,
We talked about this and I said, Bob, are you willing to give up 4 cars and get 3 brand new ones? He said, heck yeah.
and how quick did I answer you?
Immediately.
Because I'll be honest with you, I'll be straight up honest with you. I want to always be transparent with you all. The fact is that gray Crown Vic we have sitting there was the K9 car. That's actually an extra car.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So let me ask this question then, as we're looking at this. Would it be feasible then if we buy them for $1 and we use those until, as we life cycle them in, because everything will be on lease at some point, right? So at the end of it, if we're trying to get to 8 vehicles, would it be smarter to buy a couple till we got all the third session of them? 'Cause it's gonna take 3 sessions, right?
I don't know. I'm throwing numbers out here to you because the fact is, like I said, Heather and I talked about the 3 because the fact is then it gets us, because I will be honest with you, mileage wise, I've got the white Taurus and the white SUV, and let's see, the white SUV's got 28,582 miles. It's good for at least 3 years.
Understood. That's why I'm asking.
And the Taurus, it's got 36,500.
Because I think that's what get to, it's like CDs, you don't want them to come and do it at the same time, you want them to.
Right,
out and what
and
the
and that's, like I said, we had attempted to do that, but like I said, COVID.
No, understood, yeah.
That's all that.
What's the average mileage per year on the vehicles?
It depends. I'll be honest with you, it really depends. I don't know that number out the top of my head, Don. I really don't. I'd have to go look and figure it.
The reality is, I mean, if our goal is 8 vehicles, you know, I'm not sure, how long is the vehicle gonna last? 8 years? 6 years?
At least, I give you at least 4, maybe 5, probably 5.
The vehicle would last for
Yeah,
years?
probably last 5 years.
You know, then we're in trouble already if we're leasing 3 vehicles for 4 years.
Well, and like I said, you know,
If you're trying to hit 8.
That's my point. You got a life cycle, I think we need to do a life cycle product, you know.
Yeah.
and I think that's a number we have to look at, too. Because like I said, the, I can't remember when that Explorer came, early part of 2018, it had 300 miles on it, you got it. So 18, 19, 19, 20, and it's got 28,582, so about 50,000-ish.
So 5 is probably an understatement, it probably could last a little longer.
It very well could, and we are talking 6 driving, so the fact is that they could last 6 years. I've never had to do that, so I don't know.
Do you understand why I'm saying?
No, I totally
get
get it.
If, say we have 4 and 4, and we wanted to do 3-year leases, and you need each one to last 6 years.
Here's the other part, here's the other thing I'm gonna throw in here though. One of those is the Chief's vehicle, one of them is Sandy's vehicle. So the fact is, they don't get as much mileage. They're not regular patrol
So
vehicles.
still 3 and 3.
So you're still 6.
So if there's 3 and 3 outside of that, you really need them to last
Two
lease cycles before they even get replaced. So you're not doubling up payments.
I understand what you're saying.
That's what we do.
I'm just trying to give you numbers because like I said, what you all do with it
It makes sense for the next few years, but does it make sense?
in the future, I don't know.
Because if you buy a new one every year and we have to buy 6 years, well, still.
Well, see, we're in-
2 and 2.
I'm sorry, what?
That's 8, that's 8.
Yeah, that pushes us out too far, I mean.
I don't know.
We
don't have to
I'm trying to give you the
decide
information because like I
No,
said, I don't know what, what we're gonna.
I think it's good conversation, it's what we're thinking about. I mean, it's,
It makes sense to do them.
you know, that's why I'm saying, if you can buy the car for $1 somewhere, right? And you only lease the dollar to buy it, you're foolish to not buy it.
Right.
Because it's worth more than $1 to you if we sell it. So I mean, that's a no-brainer. So we do that. But my point is, if we get this to the right point of what we have on lease versus what we own, maybe a combination of the two, because we can always buy one for $1 when these come open. You follow what I'm saying? And we can keep the best ones of those and keep rotating. Does that make sense or not? Or am I just completely?
At some point, if they don't last 8 years.
No, understood.
This one thing, your other one's gonna be a problem, and that's the only thing.
You're right, you're right, you're right.
In the next 3 years, we'd have 3 brand new vehicles right now, or 4 years, we'd have 3 brand new vehicles if we did it.
Right, no, understood, yeah, and we're buying a vehicle.
I mean, even if you hit them at 50,000, 60,000 miles next 4 years, you're still gonna be 5, 6 years before you have to replace it.
Hey, Bob,
Yes.
on these leasing things, I don't know the options there, I know on equipment, but can you lease for 4 years with a buyback where you can buy the car
No, you can't for $1.
That's what it is, it's a
$1.
dollar.
for $1? Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, you can buy
On
it.
every car without any, with,
Every one of them I talked to said yes.
I mean, that's
How about
what we're
maintenance?
about to call.
is it
Regular
100%?
maintenance is on us, but 3 years, 36,000 miles on warranty, 100,000 miles.
Yeah, but then after that,
After that,
you never had to worry about that, have you?
I have not had to worry about that because I've never had anything that was under warranty.
Well, you know,
And,
you
and I don't know,
guys,
It's a gamble.
you have to consider the cost too of maintenance, right? At
right,
this point.
and I don't know
So-
what we're paying this yearly in maintenance, I could find it, but you know, but,
I would estimate a lot.
yeah, it's a lot.
It'd be nice to know.
It's currently, it's a
Well,
lot.
that analysis has been done before, about 2 or 3 years ago, and yes,
That's
it
the-
was a huge figure that would justify us buying a new car more often than we thought. I remember the outcome, I don't remember the dollars.
I'm sure I still have that.
So that weighs into the factor on your return on your investment, right?
Sure.
So we need that number to look at as well. So if we can figure that out a little bit better, like the last 3-year average of cost, right, with the fleet,
Right.
then we can figure that in and we can make a pretty good forecast or estimate of what that looks like moving forward as far as less cost in that arena versus over in the lease arena.
There's some big numbers there when it comes to maintenance. I mean, thankfully, we haven't had to replace a motor or anything like that.
Right, that's good, but you could.
My thoughts on this, and in threes, the drop in the bucket, it would be like
Right.
a no-brainer. 4 of them would be $41,000, $41,320. It's about, so $6,000 more that's in the budget.
But
If we're avoiding maintenance costs for several years, does it make sense for us to get 4?
and you give up 3 cars.
Even if it means.
I'll still give it $4.
No, I mean 3 extra.
Well, oh yeah, no, I would give me up 5.
Okay, no.
No, well, see, here's the thing. The only,
You know what, but
I get it.
No, I get you. No, but I think you're tracking the way I'm thinking. I mean, for the $6,000 more, you got 4 brand new vehicles that are completely, you know, the maintenance.
I'm sure we spend more than $6,000 on
We'll
maintenance
make it up
on the
in
cars
maintenance.
we're talking about.
So that's why I think the maintenance thing brings us back to maybe we do 4, and we're still money ahead, but.
And it sets us up good for a couple
The
of years
rotation.
from now, 4 years from now.
Yep.
It sets, because if we're going 8 cars, ultimately, and yes, I know 2 of them are lower mile vehicles, but we
Yeah.
still need to get into that rotation to replace
That's
it.
exactly right, that takes care of.
Well, I mean, you'll still have money left over. I mean, as far as, you'll have value left on those vehicles.
Right.
So.
Well, you'll buy them for $1, if you don't.
Well, I mean, like my G's vehicle or Sandy's, you'll still have value left.
Right.
Well, that doesn't mean they have to replace them right away, but
Yeah.
yeah, in the budget,
You
that
can't.
if we can,
Yeah.
we need to.
It saves money, and plus they're under warranty. And if we take the maintenance out,
See you later, Harold.
Have a good night.
what time do you walk in the morning, man?
What did, I walked about 8.
Thank you.
I think we should.
Thank you. I'll be in touch. Hi, Jimmy.
I would lean towards
Because it fits the
4. If we're even close.
It fits the schedule.
I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Honestly, Bob, don't think it's wrong, I'm tired of having this conversation every couple of years, I'd rather.
No,
What does that do?
Trust me, Robert, I understand that. I'll tell you what, I've sat down this week and
Nothing,
the end of last
really.
week, that's all I've
We
done.
have money in an internal service fund, equipment use fund, that if needed, we could transfer for that. So, yeah, I mean, the $35,000 that they're doing is what we budget anyway, every year.
For just that department, not all.
Right.
No, just
your.
and normally that's one police department.
Yeah, but our equipment use fund is an internal service fund that we could use for an equipment replacement if we needed to.
You can get electric cars, we can take it out of the electric fund.
I'm not even going there.
I'm glad you waited till Jeff left to say that.
I have a good working relationship with electric guys, I really don't want to ruin it.
Look at some figures and we'll send
Think
it
about
out.
that.
We won't be able to catch somebody, too.
All right, moving on, chief of police monthly reports in your packet.
Had to find it. If you look at it, my monthly report, you'll see a lot on there. Where it's highlighted, the corpses for Officer of Homeland Security, it's really a neat thing. I was contacted by one of the assistant directors of Homeland Security about a month and a half, 2 months ago. And he asked me if anybody wanted to participate in this. Well, of course I asked around and Greg was Davenport, which it normally fits because there's a lot of school stuff on here, active shooter stuff. Okay, it fits Dave Davenport. I was gonna actually put this on my report, that's but Dave Davenport's down the law, he's already away. I'm a little over 50%. Cribs is just a little bit behind that. But these courses, as it says in my, sorry guys, I put a piece of candy in my mouth. There's a lot of this stuff that still applies to us, even though it's more based towards a terrorism thing. A lot of the active shooter stuff is based in schools. We are actively involved in talking to Dr. Chancellor in the schools about safety, and what we had a guy come over and he actually did an assessment of the schools as far as they make this window film that it does make it bulletproof, but it takes a regular window, they put this film on it, doesn't change the look of it at all, but it almost makes it impossible to get inside of it. They show a video of a guy beating over a baseball bat, and he wears it out himself completely out before you get the hole in it. It's pretty cool, really. So anyway, that's just one of those things that we're looking at and attempting to help schools with, because the fact is, like I said, what's our biggest asset? Our young people. We've, you know, so those conversations are ongoing. Dr. Chancellor with the mass notification system. You know, it's all about money. So, they're all great ideas, but the fact is the money ends up driving it. Social media safety, that's one of those courses I took, because the fact is it's something I can bring back to the officers. That's one of my yearly things where I'm working on a yearly calendar for training. What's going on this month, what's going on next month. We've got TASER training coming up soon. I don't remember the date now. But I just said, there's a lot going on. I'm starting to warm up. We're going to get busier. I know that. So, any questions?
Did you all shoot each other at that TASER training?
Not really.
Huh?
Most everybody's been done at least once. I've had 3 times. I'm not.
I just didn't know. I mean,
you want to come over and try it out?
I want us to do a videotape.
Hey, if we can get him to volunteer, I bet we can sell tickets.
Yeah, you better check the warranty on that thing.
Your insurance covers.
They give us the insurance people left.
I'll ride the wagon once, but not
Well,
for you.
you know, you can probably auction it off to who gets to shoot it. It's full trigger.
No, that's not the point, dude.
So.
No, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for that.
Moving on to fire department activity reports in your packet. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, any fire department other? Hearing none, emergency management. None. Protective inspection.
One of the things now that it is getting warmer, we're working on is nuisance abatements. We've had some questions about, 147 West Burnett, 720 South Central. Those are properties that we're going to, we did have an administrative hearing on 720 South Central. We have an active demolition permit for it, and I was looking at it today. Actually, I think I have it here. It's a contract. It's the demolition and reconstruction contract for $3,000. So we talked to Ben Randolph, who took that permit out, and he is still waiting on the family to get all of the signatures that they need to be able to sell him the property, because he's going to buy the property and tear it down. So we're going to send another letter to give them 30 days, and if they do not, then we will go ahead and take it down, because we do already have that administrative order to take it down. And I feel like if we just let it go, then it's going to be a situation with Fort Hello Drive,
Which is so completely gone, by the way. I noticed that.
yes, yes, that's completely down. The other one is 147 Burnett. So I talked to Mr. Hovek, I believe that's his name, Hovek. I'm not so sure. He lives in California, Southern California. He said that he thought he had the property sold, had an offer on the property, but it fell through during the inspection process.
Well, duh. Why even have an inspection on that piece of crap?
I thought the same thing.
Has he got a picture of this house?
He has a picture of it.
Okay.
He didn't even know what this house looked like until I sent him pictures of it.
Oh, I'm sure.
So he was in a partnership, and when the partnership fell through, this is one of the houses that he ended up getting, and he thought that the property manager was taking care of it. Obviously, they were not. So he has requested that he be given 3 months so that he can come here from Southern California to look at this property that he's never laid eyes on, to be able to do this. To do this, he lives.
Didn't we contact him when we started this process?
Yes. He said that due to his medical conditions and he's high risk for COVID, he's scared to fly, he cannot miss work because he's a CPA. It's a really
Oh, and this
busy
is
time
tax
for him.
season, so he can't get away.
Right, he can't get away. So he asked for 3 months so that he could have time to get here and get this property taken care of.
No, he had his chance to come in and look at the property.
We did this in September.
Yeah, we're gonna move on with it.
Yeah,
So he said because of COVID, he hasn't been
You
able
can either
to.
get on board, there's plenty of people that wanna buy lots in town, and you're cannibalizing the old places in town, that's why we need to effectively work forward with another administrative hearing, which I know Heather's putting a list together of another 4 or 5 properties that we can look at and have an administrative hearing, and we're out of space. People wanna move here, we need to be, and there's plenty of people who wanna buy the lot, tear it down and rebuild it right there immediately, so. we wanna
He
give
says
them
90 days though, is he asking for 90 days for resolution or just to come look at it?
So just look at it.
3 months from now, we'll have another excuse.
Yeah,
So I can send him a notice, I can restart the administrative hearing process, and, he had a realtor, he was working with a realtor because, Don Bishop called and talked to us about it and wanted to know what they could do, if they could lay the foundation, or if they could tear that out as well. So, I mean, they were working through the process, but then it just stopped, and I assume it's probably because this person offered them 25,000 and then came back and said, I'll give you 1,500.
1,500?
Oh, that's a kick in the throat.
you can do that, I'll call you too. I'll just,
This guy, okay.
hijack or
Yeah.
hijack a little bit.
Is there any legal issue though, if he's throwing the COVID as the reason for not getting in here?
I don't know. I'll run that by, I should probably run that by Sydney to see, because he's gonna get
I mean, I'm honestly, I'm all for giving a guy a little grace in this with everything that's going on right now. If he's giving us a hard deadline, but I would say we just, my thought is we give him that 90 days, we say that's it.
well, I mean, I could set an abatement hearing for 90 days.
We've gotta have.
He's
a
about
hearing.
1,200 miles away, guys. I used to live there, believe me. It's.
But
that's not our fault, and that's not the citizens that live around him's fault either.
That's part of the risk you take in investing from California up here, and you're gonna trust other people, right?
But he's had since September too.
Yeah.
I don't
We
even
thought
think
he
he can do
got it
anything.
sold, and then it fell through. I mean.
Well, but he doesn't understand what he has, because he thought it was worth $25,000.
We're gonna get ugly, we gotta stay with it.
Otherwise,
We let this one do it, we're gonna let everybody do it.
Yeah, I mean.
You can give him whatever you want.
I'll run it by Sydney.
Well, you gotta realize that you got the cost of tear down though too.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, but.
Moving on, general government and finance, economic development, the Chamber of Commerce meeting, information's in your packet.
The reason they had to postpone the Anchor Fest is that the health department told her that we had to have people in the city square to maintain and make sure that everybody stood 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
And so she's hoping that by August, everything will be lifted and go from there.
Is it the first week of August, the first full weekend?
No, it's the 20th.
21, 22.
6th, 7th, 8th, isn't it?
No,
2021, 22.
in August, it's the 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
August
change.
The third week, it'll be the third week.
Yeah, it'll be the 3rd week in August.
Is that a guarantee?
No.
No.
What, are we still 50-50?
Probably more like 2080.
Yeah.
90-10.
Wow.
And see, there can be no crafters, it can only be the carnival and food concessions. And if they do the car show, and if I'm wrong on this, Christina, correct me, but they're talking about having to have an extra space in between each car.
And you had to have a person at each.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So, I mean, there's still question on the car show and the whole bit.
Entertainment.
Entertainment, there will not be any.
Yeah.
There will not be any entertainment.
No. And to be quite honest, most of the entertainers
Said no.
are refusing to come anywhere.
I know. But,
But-
they're saying no to that too. I mean,
Yeah.
around here who would love to.
But they're not allowing it.
They're not allowing.
It's tough.
No, the county is completely shutting that down. They
So
said it's too many people.
rides and food, and that's it, but you have to have people there keeping you 6 feet apart.
Are they aware school starts that Monday?
Yeah, yeah. Because actually, when they talked about it in the meeting here the other day, they said it could be that it would be a really great back-to-school bash. Because it's just the rides and food. So,
Good God.
So I think it'll be a back to school bash.
I mean, if that's what happens. I mean, there's always a chance that the county will still say no.
Back to school fest.
I don't see it.
But hey,
That's not.
county let the bars open until 1:30 again,
Yeah.
so.
Because you got a bigger risk after 10 o'clock to get COVID.
Yep.
So after that information is the sign-up looks like for the second annual Centralia Chamber of Commerce Golf Tournament.
Yep.
What is it?
The
15th.
15th of May. That's my dad's birthday, so. 15th of May.
Any comments on that? Moving on, Park Board, minutes are in your packet. Any comments?
I'm
They,
leaving. You'll be happy.
there is some information in the park board packet about things that they declared surplus property and they would be selling. So there are pictures of those. That's probably the majority of your packet is the pictures of what they're selling as surplus property.
I want that electric ball washer, really pretty.
Baseball pitching machine.
It's a pretty couch.
Oh, I need that. I'm just kidding. Yeah, the neighborhood watch.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for
Anyway.
that.
Excellent. Okay, moving on, cemetery report, none.
no.
Tree report, none.
Oh, cemetery, I will say that we did have a bid opening for lawn mowing services on, what was last Wednesday? The 3rd, March 3rd. So cemetery should have a report for you this coming Monday and a recommendation.
Okay.
I thought we might have a, we don't have anything in the packet about it, I guess.
Library board, agendas in your packet. Any questions? Moving on, bills over $1,250. It's on page 62 of the PDF. Questions or comments? The January 2021 financial statements. Heather, is there anything you want to point out?
No, you are getting these a little bit late. Typically you would have February at this time, but due to, I hate to say it, COVID. Tara's still catching up and have new staff in the office, so a lot of things going on. So anyway, you will have the updated ones for February, hopefully.
I have a question about, are we behind on submitting or resubmitting or redoing city licenses for businesses?
A little bit. So since she was out the whole month of January, that's typically when people renew.
Okay. Renew, that's the word I was not coming with.
Yeah. She has actually, Tara's delegated responsibility to one of the other clerks.
Okay.
And so I know that a big stack of licenses went in the mail last Friday.
Okay. I just know there were some concerns about if auditors or health department people or something showed up, they weren't gonna have that. So.
Yeah. And they can always come in and get them
Get 'em, okay.
in person.
I didn't know how to answer that, so I said I'd bring it up today.
Yes. If they still don't have them, they can come in and get it in person.
Okay.
Any other? session.
And move that we go into closed session. During the meeting, the Board of Aldermen may elect to go into closed session and hold a closed vote, and the purpose of such closed session and closed vote shall be as approved for under section 610021 subsection 1 of the revised statutes of Missouri for legal actions, causes of actions, or litigation involving the public governmental body and any confidential or privileged communications between the public governmental body or its representatives and its attorney, and as provided for under section 610021 subsection 3 of the revised statute of Missouri for hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by public governmental body.
Can I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion second. Roll call vote.
Alderman Stevens,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
Yes.
Alderman Magley,
Yep.
Alderman Motley. Yes. Alderman Hudson,
Yes.
Alderman Wilkie.
Four.
Okay.
Nice and